Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? So we're going to be talking about whether or not you need to switch your leaders when you're attacking your, monsters, right? And you start dealing with higher tiers. And obviously, I think a lot of you guys out there have probably asked this kind of question because really, who hasn't, okay? Because when you're hitting level 1s and you auto-kill them, you're probably thinking, see, I got it figured out. But now you start hitting a level 2 and you're like, okay, this still works. All right, this is pretty good. And then you start hitting level 3s and you start to notice something that changes. You know, it goes from, yes, I know what I'm doing, to, hell, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Because what often happens is, you'll send a team like this and realize, oh, hell, I don't have anything keeping my team alive. Am I doing it wrong? And to answer your question, okay, remember, when you are hitting level 1s to level 2s, you're trying to maximize the damage, right? And you're trying to keep that team alive as long as possible, and you're trying to do as much damage as possible, right? And oftentimes people have always wondered, if I start taking away from the damage, and I start, now I'm starting to put in my, my tanks and my healers, is this going to make it do better? Now, to answer your question, not really, okay? Because really what you're going to do, if let's suppose your aim here now is to, and I'll give you a case study version of this, all right? So let's suppose I just send this attack right now at a level 3, okay? The one thing that you're going to find, and this holds up even to today, all right, is that the teams that are focused on the damage are oftentimes going to do the most damage for what you're sending. And a lot of the time people like to think that when you get to level 3s, 4s, and 5s, that at this point you need to try now making your team survive. Because remember, okay, at 4.75%, that sounds really goddamn good, doesn't it? I mean, because you're looking at that and you're saying, I'm doing really good, and you view the battle and you're like, I'm pretty charged, right? And you're probably pretty happy with that kind of stat, right? Because you've hit level 3s for a long time, and you're probably not getting anywhere near this, right? Because you're not sending gold heroes like I am, but you're probably thinking to yourself, this is not too bad. Remember, I'm not using monster hunting gear right now. I'm not using a 25% monster hunting boost. There's a lot of things you can do if you really just want the attack to go higher, okay? Because really, generally speaking, if you just want the attack to go higher, that's easier said than done. Pop a 25% boost, wear your monster hunting gear, and yeah, you're going to do a hell of a lot more damage, and therefore you're going to kill it a hell of a lot faster, okay? But if you're trying to keep your heroes alive, you'll notice that now that I'm hitting I'm hitting that Terraform, what do you notice? My heroes are not dead. And so ultimately, am I wrong to continue using it like this? No. Okay, and that tells you that your team is good to go. You're not doing it wrong. But now if let's say I go from a level 3, okay, at this point, and now let's say I go to a level 4. All right. You'll notice that this is always fascinating, right? Because I'm sure some of you guys are thinking, but at what point do I really need to switch, right? Because you're thinking to yourself, well, shouldn't I put a healer in here to keep them living longer so I can do more damage over time, right? And to answer your question, you kind of can in certain circumstances if that's really what you want to do, but you can't. The wrong thing to do is assume that a tank's going to take all the damage. Okay, because the first thing you're going to find out is that tanks don't eat damage in this situation because all of your heroes are taking the damage collectively. So what you need is healers. Now, the only options really that I think are really, of good replacements, right, is you can use a Lore Weaver, and that's just going to reduce the amount of damage that all of your heroes are going to take. But that's a pay-to-win hero, right? But what about Prima Donna? Well, that only works with magic teams, really, because you're only going to get magic bonuses even then. But you'll notice that just because, I'm using this team setup, you'll notice that if the team is good and it doesn't die very quickly, then generally speaking, this team's going to hold up regardless of how many times you use them. So my recommendation is that if you feel like a healer is necessary because your team is dying too quickly, then maybe it isn't such a bad, feasible idea. And you can give it a try. You can use C-Square. You can use Prima Donna. But if you notice that your team dies too quick even still, then the thing is ultimately at that point, no matter how hard you try, your team is probably going to die. And so at that point, damage is really all that matters, isn't it? And so focusing on the damage part of that is really all that matters. All right. Now, I'm not saying, I hate to crush some people's dreams and think, well, I can make my team live all the way through every single time. Like, you can, okay? But if the damage output is so poor, then why send it? If the output is so tiny and so little and yet the team lives, then nobody really likes to use it anyway. And that's part of the reason why we focus on the damage teams to begin with, is because we're really just trying to get the most damage we can get for as long as we can, right? So to answer your question, that's my 2 cents on that, because really I know some of you guys out there are probably thinking, but if I send like a level 4, and I sent like, and say, I'll give you a better example, right? Let's say if I go up against a Eldrider, all right, and I put my healer in here, let's say I don't even use C-Square. Let's say I just put in like another magic attack hero. Maybe I don't use Child of Light. Maybe I use another magic hero. So let's say, maybe Snow Queen or even Tracker, really, but for this purpose, I think we'll probably just stick with Snow Queen, because really we're just trying to focus on magic attack here. All right. And the only thing I've done is I've added one single healer to this team. Only one. All right. And the mindset here you're thinking is, well, this is going to keep my team alive longer, and therefore it's going to do more damage. And you're not wrong to think that way, because now you're getting to the point. You're actually starting to ask yourself, well, if I can keep my team alive longer, but I can do more damage, then I'm increasing the damage I do per hit, correct? And you're not wrong to think that way. But the problem is that is not a cure-all for everything, okay? Because oftentimes, even if you throw a healer in here, you'll often find that your heroes still don't live. And that is a problem, okay? Now, you can try to put a C-Square in here. You could try doing everything else. But what you end up doing a lot of the time is you just end up losing your heroes anyway. Kind of like this. You can kind of see how, yeah, sure, they're alive a little longer, and have I made the damage increase a little bit? Yeah, like, you're certainly getting a little bit more longevity out of them. You're not wrong to think this way. Am I doing a little bit more damage? Yes. Okay, if you put one single hero in for a healer role and you maximize, the only thing you need to make sure you do is that if you're going to put in, what hero are you going to pull from your attack team, you need to pick the least damage producing hero out of your team. And if you don't know what that is, then I recommend you watch that monster hero review video I have in the description below, because that will literally tell you every single hero and all of their benefits, okay? So that you can kind of pick and choose what heroes those are going to be. But you can see that there, I still left. And that's really what matters, right? Is that the team leaves at the end. Because really what we're trying to do is do the most amount of damage for the longest period of time, right? And that's kind of the mindset for it, at least when it comes to Helldrader. Anyway, needless to say, really at the core of it, right? That is the mindset I think you guys are all in right now, and that's not a bad mindset to be in. Because really, at the end of the day, okay, if that is what you're trying to do, you are not wrong to think that way. It is actually the way you should be thinking when you're dealing with level 4s and level 5s. You're trying to do the most damage you can do, right? Now, obviously, when it comes to actually improving this, and you want to make that damage multiplier stack, you need to hit the same monster again and again and again. And the reason why you want to do this, all right, is that ultimately the goal with doing that is when you do that, it says here in plain font text, deal extra damage when you hunt the same monster in succession. And it stacks, okay? So the more times you attack, the more damage you're going to do, and therefore the faster you're going to kill that monster. So a lot of the time, a lot of people out there that are dealing with level 4s and stuff like that, the first initial idea they've got that runs through their head is that they want to send a 2x hit. And they think, see, I'm doing 2 times the damage, and therefore it's going to work better. Right? No. Okay, just because you hit it 2 times doesn't mean it's going to be any better. All right, you increase the roll rate when you do that, but you're not really, you're not really making a huge dent as compared to if, let's say, you hit level, like a monster hunt like this, did it like 25 times in a row, okay, and then you decided, okay, now I'm going to do that. Then you're going to take the existing bonuses that you've gotten from the succession hit, and then you're going to double that because of this double DMG boost that you get there. That is why you use it. So if you're going to hit like 6 times in a row, and then at the last, want to do double that, then boom, you're going to do a ton more damage had you done that than you are if you're going to do it the other way around. All right? Because a lot of the time I feel that, when you're trying to yoink, okay, like your Terrathorn seeds and stuff like that, then you're going to probably find yourself in a situation where you feel like hitting this all the way is the better option. And if that's what you're trying to do, then if you really want to save yourself some energy and you want to actually kill the monster, then you're probably going to want to go that route. But if you're trying to farm for Terrathorn seeds and you just happen to have 100, kajillion freaking energy laying around, then sure, you can do this over and over and over again, and you may very well get yourself a Terrathorn seed. But I wouldn't say that it's a guarantee, really, because I've often found that it doesn't always work that way. And I say that because a lot of the time, when you're trying to get rares in this game, if you want to look at the drop rates, you can actually look at them. And in case you want to find them out, I'll have some videos in the cards that you can look at. And even in the economic gaming changing tutorials playlist I have for you guys, you can actually find a video in there that will explain the drop rates for you. But I'm just saying that when it comes to getting to the rares in here, that generally speaking, it is a lot more difficult. Not to say that it's impossible, but it's a hell of a lot more difficult. And frankly, I've never had much luck with it. But it always seems to me that if you're going to try and do a Terrathorn and you're trying to get into killing it a little faster, and for the amount of energy that you're putting into it, it makes more sense to put one additional monster on it again and again and again, hit it up to like 20, and then do a damage boost. That's just my 2 cents on that, though. I hope you guys kind of found this video somewhat helpful on the topic. And needless to say, I'll see you guys next time.